And we are live. This is season 2 of the Wrap It Up podcast, the Raps on Blast postgame show. And this episode of Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the East End of Toronto. Clean Cuts, multicultural barbers. They'll always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. As a wise man once said, tell them that I sent you. Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto or give them a call, 416-917-4833 to book your appointments now. Season 2, fellas, how we feeling? What's goody?
Feeling good. We still the champs.
The only thing we're missing is a ring. I need my
Yo,
ring.
listen, we need a ring, y'all.
One of my boys better have got me a ring tonight.
I hear that they're giving out rings down at the arena, man. I need a ring, man. My plug guys, you know what I'm talking to, man. I need that ring, man.
Somebody got the plug.
Somebody got the plug.
Far end by my guy Foots. Foots, what's going on, man?
What's
How
up,
you doing?
y'all?
How
I'm
you
good.
feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. We still the champs.
Good to have you, fam. Good
Come
to
on,
have
thank you. I appreciate that.
Q, what's going on?
Always good, brother. Always good.
Huge shout to my guy Bellamo, of course, who will
Belly.
be here normally on the pod. We'll see him throughout this season, of course. But as you know, if you're familiar with the pod, we got a nice cast of characters that rotate through to help me out on this journey, which is bringing to you the Raptors talk that you all crave and love. This is the Raps on Blast post-game show. My name is Sheldon Alexander, and this was a big night. Raptors putting up the banner. And I just want to start with this. We've seen the video. They ran it back a bunch of times throughout the game. We have the TV on the side here with they're running it replays again. Seeing the rings and seeing the banner up at Scotiabank Arena. I was about to say the ACC because it's always going to be the ACC.
Yeah, of course.
But what was that feeling like for you guys? Like, what did it feel like to see the banner that says World Champions? Q, I'll start with you, man.
Man, it just makes it all real again. You know what I mean? We partied all of June.
Yes, all July.
August, got into preseason. We're hearing all the preseason hype from other cities. But, we open the season and remind everybody, we the champs. It's a good feeling.
It was a great feeling.
Oh, what about you, man?
Finally. It's surreal, but like honestly, we were to the brink the last 3 years, couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's a great feeling. We still champs.
We're the champs.
We're the champs.
It's a cool feeling. It has a nice ring to it. And it was like, ring to it. I didn't even mean to do that. But it's cool because, as you mentioned, there was a parade, there were the rings, there's all these different things. And now to see that, it's like a culmination of the celebration, right? Like,
yeah, I agree.
It's like you get to see it in the building and it's real. And they were talking about it earlier before the game that's going to be there forever now.
Yep.
Right? Forget about all the foo-foo other things they had in the Raptors, the Atlantic Division Championship.
The things that don't matter, that didn't matter.
Yeah. It's all gone. And the rings, one thing, I wrote this down during the game. They said these are the biggest rings ever made for a championship team with over 600 diamonds and personalized messages and the players' numbers like written on each one, like each one specific towards a player.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. That's pretty cool.
Really cool.
And you guys mentioned people getting
the replica
being
rings.
Able to
I think
get the replica rings. The first 20,000 fans got replica rings. That's kind of cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man, in Canada we do it better. That's what I had to tell my American homie.
And everybody that works for MLSC gets a ring.
As they should.
Right?
Why
Security guards,
Why not? You're part of
concession
the squad.
stands, everybody gets
Why
a
not?
ring.
You're part of the squad.
And I want
You
my
know what
ring.
I say?
What were
I
you
say it's a
saying?
real.
You said someone hit you up?
Yeah, one of my American homies is like, "Oh, you guys are giving out rings up in Canada," and I'm like, "Yeah, man, because Canadians do it better.
That's how
Come
we
on,
do.
now, that's how we do. Everybody gets blessed."
Everyone gets blessed. And you know what?
Yeah.
I went too far without mentioning. We're actually doing this show live from Clean Cuts. Right now, as we speak, we're here after hours. The man Skip let us in,
Yes, of course.
We're holding it down here for the next about half hour or so as we go through what happened in this, the Toronto Raptors' first win of the season, 130-122. And I know it's kind of weird, right? Because you're getting the rings, the banner's going up, all the hype about last year's championship season, but there's also a game to be played, right?
Yeah,
and so going in against the Pelicans without Zion, a completely different look. We'll get to Zion in a bit because I want to talk about Zion and what you guys think. Maybe we'll touch back on that at the end. But 130 to 122 for the Toronto Raptors. Again, coming out with a big boy win and leading the way. It's pretty easy. Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, each coming out with 34 points. But which one kind of stood out to you the most, Foots?
I got to go with Siakam. A day after getting the bag,
Yeah.
you're gonna come back with a 34 and 18 rebounds. That's what's supposed to happen. And honestly, a lot of times now, you don't usually have games like that.
Yeah.
So for him, especially being young too, and getting his fruits of his labor, and then now coming to play and playing really well,
Yeah.
hats off, man. He deserves. He's worth every penny. That's what I said.
So you mentioned his contract. We know Siakam has signed the 4-year extension worth, what is it,
130.
130
Worth every
extension,
penny.
max contract. And I mean, hey, if you're going to put up nights like this, 34 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists. He fouled out, but the game went to overtime. Of
course.
He said in the post game, you
And
got
they're
to chill
hunting
out on the hacking.
And they're hunting for him too.
What do you think of the last foul, the call that he fouled out on?
It was
Redick?
at the end of the day, I think it was a
Offensive foul.
flop. But again, too, JJ's a veteran, so he's not even a veteran. Will muddy the waters a little bit with the referees.
Yeah.
Make him make a decision. Make him make a call, and he did down the stretch.
Right.
So
Q, what do you think? Freddie, or you want to take Freddie then because Foots took Siakam? Or you're going with Siakam as well?
You know, I'm gonna go with Freddie. You know why? Because I took Freddie in the pool. So Freddie just gave me some points. Here.
easy.
How fantasy always comes back.
Sprinkle
into play,
that,
right?
baby.
There you go.
Sprinkle
But
that.
you know what I was impressed with. Obviously, the Raptors are playing with a shortened bench. They're not running too deep, especially in game one. You would expect
Yeah.
them to really use a rotation, but they didn't. It looked like he was hurt there in the fourth, limping a bit.
He was hobbled.
Right, he was hobbled. But then to come up with those big plays in overtime,
Yeah.
that's the Freddie we seen in the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah.
Warrior.
The thing with Fred VanVleet, the confidence that this guy was playing with. Like, he came out from the get-go,
Yep.
and VanVleet, again, 34 points, but 12 of 18 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3 from VanVleet. 7 assists, 5 rebounds. But
Very efficient night. Very
super efficient night. And he was just in control. And you mentioned, one, there's the thing where he's in control and kind of making plays, creating plays, but also huge shouts again to Nick Nurse, because this is a follow-up from last season where we see him draw up some great plays. And there was one super late.
That 3 in the corner out the timeout. That was a great drop.
Right out the timeout, you see Kyle and Marc Gasol run the pick and roll. Kyle finds Mark, swing pass to Freddie in the corner, knocks down the 3, and you noticed it, the way that he landed, looked like he was avoiding landing fully
on that right ankle.
On the right ankle. So we don't know. I'm sure something will probably come out during the post game in terms of if something's wrong with Freddie. I'm sure he'll probably downplay it anyways.
I think he was actually listed as a game time decision going into the game.
But
So there was already something, but yeah.
to me, this is going to be the most interesting part of the Raptors season, right? Because these are 2 spectacular games. And if you're talking about what the future of the Raptors is going to be, because this is more of a reload than a rebuild, it's going to be Fred and Siakam, right? Siakam already got the bag. Freddie is a unrestricted free agent at the end of this year.
And we got to give him.
He's playing for the bag.
Yeah, he's playing for the
definitely.
bag, so we got to give him that.
So if those 2 are the ones that are going, this is going to be the thing to really carry the Raptors, because it's going to be consistency. I'm not saying they each got to put up 34 every night, but you got to hit 20 pieces, no?
Is it fair to say that we're grooming Siakam and VanVleet to be closers? Because that's what it's looking like right now.
Well, down the stretch, we brought this up in the room, and then I kind of stopped the conversation because I wanted to save it for the pod. But to me, the narrative for this entire Raptor season is we know that they're a good team. We know that they're well coached. We know they have good, solid players. So you're going to be in most games because they play defense, right?
Yep.
And what it's going to come down to is what happens in winning time. Last year you had Kawhi. This year you don't. So what are you going to do? Who's going to make the plays? What did you think of the Raps' execution down the stretch in winning time?
I felt, you know what, the second last drop was good,
Okay.
but I felt like the last play where you gave the ball to Norman
In
and you gave him the
regulation.
decision, I think Coach in his mind had it that he was going to slash to the bucket, Norm. But I felt like Norm, just like, I'll just shoot.
Norm tried
I'll
to
be
take
lazy.
He tried to take that Dame Lillard boy.
Yeah.
From half court. I don't know if that's exactly how they drew it
Drew
up
it
in
up.
terms of
Yeah.
Norm ISO. If you have the wide open shot from half court, the logo, you take it. I don't know if that's exactly what Nick Nurse said, but that wasn't really a good look. And I think Norm would probably even agree with that, even though he almost hit it.
He almost hit it.
The
Front
angle
rim.
from behind, it looks like it's on, and he
It
looks
was
like
on
he's
target.
ready to celebrate.
It was a bit strong.
But that's not the shot selection you want.
That's not
Definitely
at
not.
all.
Definitely not.
And the strength of this team will be the ball movement. But when it comes down to winning time, Q, what did you make of the Raps down the stretch? When they need to make plays.
Well,
Who's going to
they
be the
made plays.
go-to person?
Exactly, and I think after Siakam fouled out and Fred was hobbled, I think it's up in the air at that point,
But
right?
hold on, there was one man
There was
trying
one.
to do it.
There was one
Yeah,
man
of
that was
course,
doing
of course,
Ramosi
of
out
course.
there.
I don't know why
Of
you guys are
course.
trying to avoid it.
I'm
but your man
not. That's a whole segment on its own.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying the third leading scorer in this game was your man's Kyle Lowry. 22 points in this game.
Are you talking about Mr. Fade?
4 of 15, but 3 of 11 from 3.
Man said Philly Fade. Philly Fade Kyle.
Kyle was trying to make plays. Kyle
He's
was trying to
feeling
do it. And
nice.
I'm not going to lie. There's some people that were trying to kind of wonder what Kyle Lowry was doing at certain points. How do you see Kyle Lowry fitting into this whole Raptors saga where we're seeing it's a Fred and Pascal show? How's Kyle fitting into this?
I feel like Kyle's gonna make himself fit in. You know what I mean? Mr. Philly Fade himself.
Okay,
I feel like he's gonna make himself fit in. So
Okay.
if there's nights now where Siakam and Van Fleet, these guys are rolling,
Okay.
listen, Lowry's gonna insert himself. He's very assertive.
Okay.
And I could tell too in times where Siakam was on the bench and we needed scoring
Yeah.
other than Van Fleet, he was giving it to us.
Yeah.
So you know what? Those days are clap. But I know there's gonna be some nights where people are gonna be pulling out their hair like, why is he taking that shot?
Yeah.
Why is he taking this shot? Right? So, today it worked out. Next game, who knows? Who
You're
knows?
also saying, Q, I'll let you answer the Lowry question in a second. But Foots, you're saying that your group text was going crazy with some of those shots.
Crazy.
Q, Kyle Lowry, talk to me.
You know what? You can't even be mad at Kyle. You know what? Because
He's earned
you know what, Fred. Although it is going to be the Fred and Spicy P show for most of the season, they're still young and they've never been in these roles before. Mm-hmm. Kyle is still the leader. He is the veteran, and he's the all-star, and he's the only one who's actually kind of been a go-to guy for this team
For sure.
in the past.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we still need him to have that kind of confidence, right? Because I feel like if he gets down,
Then the rest of the team
then
will get down.
the rest of the team will get down
For sure.
So we still need him to be the Kyle Lowry we've watched for the last 7 seasons, right? Because he's had that. He's the only one. He's the one that's going to kind of show Fred and Siakam how to be
All-stars.
that go-to guy or that number 2 guy or whatever.
Yeah. We are live on Twitter at Shell Alexander, which we are after each and every Toronto Raptors game. If you want to join in, click
Plug
into click the link and you'll end up in a group chat where you're able to write into the show. We'll take your questions and comments. Same thing goes for Instagram. We put up a separate feed, which is totally just there for people to interact with the show. Tell us what you think of the game. Tell us if you think we're wrong, who you liked, who you didn't like. We'll read your comments on the show. We start here with IMY Dubs Cry, who says Kalo is the general, right? Which kind of makes sense. And, Lowry signs his 1-year extension, which a lot of people thought was Masai and the organization kind of being like, thank you, Kyle. Thank you for being here and being, the general, let's say. I'll take the line from IMY Doves Cry here on Instagram. Yeah. But being that focal point for this team in their rebirth, where they became legitimate again, all the way to the point where you win a championship. Was Kyle the main dog? No. But he was a very, very key point.
He was one of them, right?
And I'm not mad at them giving him the bag for that.
No, I'm not mad at him at all.
Overall, I'm never going to be mad at Kyle Lowry again. There's no, I can't, regardless of what happens. He won the chip. He came out and dropped, 14 in the first quarter of game 6 or whatever it was. Kyle Lowry, for as much of a jerk as he is sometimes to the media and as he comes off, whatever, man. That pit bull, it's a gift and the curse.
That's it.
It's what makes him who he is.
And we riding with it.
And you know what? He also takes some of that. He also
This
takes some
Lower Boys
pressure
is the
off
same
of those
thing.
guys
We
as
riding
well.
with it.
Right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right?
Hell
Again,
yeah.
you don't want every question going to Siakam and him having to be the face of the franchise and things are going bad, it's his fault. Things are going good, it's
Let him
on
transition into that role.
Exactly.
Totally.
And Kyle allows you to do that.
Kyle Lowry does allow you to do a lot of stuff. And the thing is, he made some really good plays where he found Norm cutting to the basket. Him and Gasol, I think it's very key in this reloading of the Raptors, just a role that the vets will play.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how the Raptors rotation plays out this season. But early in this game, it was interesting to note that Kyle and Gasol were the first starters to go to the bench. And, it is the Spicy P and Freddie show, but you still need the vets in that,
Definitely.
passing of the baton, so to speak, right? And when things break down, who are you going to? It's Marc Gasol going to make a play. It's Kyle Lowry going to make a play. And sometimes it's not the play that screams at you, because if we bring up, and hey, people who rock with this podcast know we did this all last playoffs. You bring up Marc Gasol's box score, it's going to say 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 of 9 from the floor. But he made plays down the stretch.
Yes, he
on
did.
both ends of the floor. How do you see the vets, both Gasol and Lowry, and their role with the team this season, Q? Just fitting in with the young Bucks.
Again, it's leadership, but they also are two main facilitators. We'll call them, right?
Yeah.
So the offense will be going through one of them, right? Because yes, Fred's a point guard, but he's playing our shooting guard. We need him to score, right? Siakam to score, OG to contribute, Norm to contribute. So they are the ones that kind of, especially we've seen over even last season where the offense kind of stalls.
Yep.
Right?
Or gets too much one-on-one.
Exactly. And we're not going to win that way.
No.
Right? So those two get us into our running of the offense.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, totally. And I think it's one of those things where you look at this season and how it's going to play out for the Raps. You don't know, standings-wise, where they're going to play out, but you figure the better they do, the more likely it is that they keep the team together.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so to give that full opportunity to hand the team over to Pascal and Fred, it'd be pretty cool to have one more playoff run with this full team. But at the same time, who knows? But one thing that will be a major factor. Right now, the Raps have played 8 guys tonight. That's very anti-Raptors, but that follows what Nick Nurse was talking about during training camp in the end of the preseason, where he was basically calling out a bunch of the new guys saying they're not ready to play
The Raptor style of basketball.
How important was that? Foots, you played D1 ball, so I like picking your brain on this just in terms of being in a huddle and hearing a coach go at dudes in terms of practicing hard, giving it all on the defensive end. What's the message sound like when the coach is out there saying, we got 8 guys that I'm going to roll with right now, and we got a bunch of spots open, and nobody took the challenge because they didn't go past the 8th guy, Terrence Davis?
Because you got to understand, it's we've already said, Nick Nurse has already set up the culture already. We're champions. We're champions off of defense first. So Hollis Jefferson, Stanley, you guys just can't come onto our wave and get the championship vibe and everything that the championship comes with. No, you got to play the right way, and that starts in practice.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's telling those guys, listen, you guys need to work more in practice, man.
It's major.
It's major. It's
What's it
major.
say about the Raps culture, Q, that, you have a guy giving, Nick Nurse just laying down the law early on and saying the level of play that you guys are showing right now is unacceptable?
I mean, you know what? To me, it shows that as much as on the outside it is kind of a regrouping, they're here to ball.
Yeah.
And I think they're actually
defend
really going to try to defend
The championship.
and go as far as they can.
Totally.
So, especially if you're those two guys, Stanley, we'll pick on Stanley and Rondé, because those guys are lottery picks. Those guys were high school
Big expectations coming into the league.
Went to big time colleges. Stanley was the number 3 pick.
Yep.
And for you to come in, so in years past you could have came to Toronto and be like, "Oh, it's Toronto, so of course I'm gonna play."
I'm not
right?
going to
But
work
big
as
time.
hard. I'm
This
just
is-
going to
yeah,
chill,
exactly.
get my bag, and just chill
Right,
out.
but this
No,
this,
can't do
this
that
shows
no more.
that this you're gonna have to respect both the city and the team and the organization.
Championship
And if-
pedigree.
and if you don't fit in, and especially again, I pick on those guys because those guys, their contracts were up.
Yeah.
right? Everybody, you just seen Siakam and
Yep.
Buddy Hield and everybody else sign those big rookie extensions. You guys got 1-year deals for the league minimum. So something you guys haven't been doing the right things over your careers, and this is your chance. Right?
It's a second
it's
chance.
wide open. It's wide open.
Second, maybe even third chance.
Chance.
But
Yeah.
you make the great point in terms of these guys probably thought, oh, well, we're going to come in and take Kawhi's minutes and Danny Green's
Thank you.
minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
And you pointed this out, Q. Terrence Davis is an undrafted rookie that
Thank
they
you.
signed that somehow leapfrogged those dudes to be getting guaranteed minutes.
Terrence Davis, but he looked good. Even preseason, he looked good.
Yeah, and that's not a knock to Terrence Davis. He earned it. He played hard. Obviously, he's made a great impression on the coach and the other guys. But if you're Stanley Johnson and Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, you got to be like, wait, what? Like we can't get Burns over.
We
this
can't get
guy?
minutes over this
Well,
guy?
At least Nurse is making it known.
Why you're not?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got to respect it. You got to respect.
You got to respect it.
Speaking of Terrence Davis Jr., I thought it was kind of cool in the fact that Van Fleet is starting. Okay. One, you could tell Nurse is they've decided, hey, we're playing. We got to find a way to play our best guys. So you see a lot of interesting lineups. For the most part, they went 7 deep. Davis got 15 minutes and played well, gave some good energy off the bench for sure. But for the most part, it's a 7 deep lineup for the Raps, right? With Ibaka and Norman Powell coming off the bench. A lot of that, I think, in terms of Fred starting is, one, they want to get Fred on the floor. They need his scoring consistently.
sure.
They want him to play a lot. But also, I think they do want to play Davis a lot. There is a long stretch in this game.
Where Davis was playing important key minutes.
Yeah, the Raps were down, and they made a huge run to get back in the game with Lowry, Davis, and Fred VanVleet all on the floor. And I think it was Siakam and Serge. And that's just a lineup where they're pesky guards running around, playing defense, working hard, scrapping their way back into the game. That's how the Raps are going to be successful this season. No,
agree.
playing that defensive
They
mentality.
have to.
And you know what? Davis came in the game, and he balled. He looked like
did.
he belonged.
Yeah.
Like he
Didn't look scared.
he
Didn't
came
look out of
in
place.
first regular season NBA game, and he earned to be part of that 8-man rotation in game 2.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's you know what, when you, with a young guy, especially an undrafted rookie, that's all you can ask for.
Yep. The biggest chip on your shoulder should be the undrafted guy.
Exactly.
And he's coming in here and he's proving that, hey, listen, I belong. And it starts on the defensive end. He's dogging the other team's best perimeter scorer.
Yeah.
I seen him trying to keep up and try to stay in front of Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
That's a tough task.
Yeah, Drew Holiday was pesky, and that's why you got guys like OG who, your main effort that you want from OG is at the defensive end. And he did a really good job of that. And the whole thing too, getting back to the whole Nick Nurse and defensive culture of the Raptors, I think the 1 year Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, being the understudies, let's say, that Fred and Pascal got to see, you got to see how those guys work and how they practice and why the importance on defense isn't what it is. We were talking about this earlier too. The importance on defense isn't stressed enough in a lot of basketball, a lot of levels of basketball.
For sure.
But even when you get to the highest levels of the NBA, people
it's
don't
definitely not
respect what Kawhi Leonard does on both ends of the floor as much as they should, right? But you're seeing that trickle down to these Raptors this season in terms of Fred and Pascal and these guys just knowing, like, we got to bring it on the defensive end. Do you think they got a lot of that from Kawhi and Danny last year?
Definitely, and I think not only, but you also got to remember where those two guys came from. Like we were talking about
G-League.
NBA coaches, and who are the best of all time, and talking about being, the new culture of the Raptors and being championships, and who better to learn from than San Antonio, right? So you now have those two guys who came from San Antonio, and showed that. Yes, they're veterans, and they've had championships, but they were the hardest workers also in practice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is something that has to seep into everybody else around you.
Yeah.
Right?
Has to.
And like when your best player is out there busting his ass on both ends of the floor, what
There's no
excuse do you have?
Exactly.
Right?
You
What
have no
excuses do
excuse.
other people have? So it's been it's great game 1 for the Toronto Raptors. Of course, again, my name is Sheldon Alexander. This is a Wrap It Up podcast. We do this each and every Toronto Raptors game live on Twitter at Shell Alexander. Also taking your comments and questions on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Now, if you're unable to make it for whatever reason during the live show right after the game, don't worry, we become a podcast, which you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and YouTube. It's all under the On Blast podcast. So if you find that under any of those places, like and subscribe. Tell your friends, as we always say. But let's get to some comments here before we wrap up. Alex chimes in on Instagram, and Alex says, wrap it up, 1 of 82. Good to be back from the off season. LOL. Jay Homer says, gonna surprise a lot of people this year. What do you guys think of that? What are your expectations for the Raptors this year? I kind of talked about it on a pregame show, which I should mention. If you follow the feed, you know we did our NBA season preview with my guy Andrew Webster on the Wrap It Up podcast, or the Ball on Blast podcast, pardon me, which is on the same feed as this one. So if you just scroll back a little, you'll find that. But we talked about expectations for the Raps this season. Q, I'll start with you. Where do you see the Raptors finishing in the Eastern Conference this season? What are your expectations?
You know what? I'm looking for home court advantage first round.
Okay, top 4.
So top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm looking for top 4. Now, you know, no excuses. Top 4. You know what? And I think, you know, today they showed me a little bit of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they looked at one point like they could have just walked out of this game and like, it's only game 1. Let's take the L and walk away.
Yeah.
But they fought back, got to overtime, and beat them up in overtime. Yeah. So with that, there's no reason why they can't be a number 2 seed, even 3. Like I don't feel like Boston.
I'm along that.
I don't feel like Boston and Milwaukee.
Sixers.
Even the Sixers are that much ahead where it's just going to be like, you know, we're going to be like 10 games behind any of those teams. I think it's going to come down to the last couple weeks of the season and whoever stays healthy.
Oh, what are you saying?
I feel like I can pinpoint it even more. I got 3. Slot us in 3.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you guys are not convincing me that this Boston hype, that Boston's better. I watched these guys take L's in the FIBA tournament, and that was their starters. So I'm not trying to hear no excuses. Right?
Yeah.
The only 2 teams that are clear-cut better than the Raptors right now on paper is Philadelphia, obviously, and I'll even give you guys Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Right? But even then,
Milwaukee's a good regular season.
You know, but that's also
Giannis,
right? They have what Toronto doesn't have, and that's that guy who's like, you know, when it's getting tough, who's the ball going to, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna win games by himself.
Totally.
Right?
for sure. But even I'm not really convinced. Philadelphia is great. Their starting 5 is it's spooky.
It's a solid-
It's
they're
a
good.
Western.
It's a
I'm looking
solid
at them like
They're gonna miss Jimmy Butler.
they're
I
no,
agree
they're gonna
with
miss.
that.
They're gonna miss the closer in Jimmy Butler.
But not even that. I think Jimmy brings. So who do they replace him with? Josh Richardson. Jimmy brings that.
That dog
You
mentality.
know, I'm not gonna just sit back and let Joel Embiid and Simmons just
Lose
fuck
this game
around.
for us.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Just mess
For
around.
sure.
Yeah.
Right? He's a guy
and
who
Richardson could take a back
The
seat.
one thing I
Exactly.
give them credit for is that bringing in Al Horford at least replaces the grown-up factor that Jimmy Butler was for them.
But I don't know if
Right? And like,
is
I'm not saying Al
Horford-
Horford's going to get buckets for them.
But is Al
he's
Horford
kind of,
gonna?
But there has to be an adult in the room. Al
for
Horford is that adult in the
Yeah,
room.
that's all I'm
but
saying.
Horford's more of a respected vet, whereas we know Jimmy's going to get in your face and be like, "No, this is not how things are going to happen."
True.
Yeah.
But here's my issue with Philly that I think going forward they're going to have to face this reality that at the end of the day, the dog that we're talking that Jimmy Butler was down the stretch, you need that to be Embiid or Simmons, or else what are we even doing?
Yep, that's very
Do you
true.
know what I mean? So having Al Horford who will replace Jimmy but kind of take a step back, you know what I mean? Because I think that was part of the problem as well in their series against the Raptors, even though literally it came down to a 4 bounce shot.
Yeah.
But if Embiid just was confidently
And manned up.
yeah,
And-
they
and Embiid
probably
manned
win
up.
the series, right? But he wasn't ready, and Jimmy kind of,
Tiptoed around it.
Yeah,
When he
yeah,
should have
yeah.
been the direct Jimmy.
exactly.
So
And Ben Simmons, I'm not here to gas Ben Simmons, as I was saying
not
in
at
the,
all.
in the group text. Like,
Not at all.
my guy got a max, and he shot
With no
his
jumper.
first 3 in preseason against a team from China, and he was wide open, and they acted like they won the championship. I'm like, get out of here. You can miss me with that. That guy
Yep.
disappeared in the playoffs. My pick for the Raps this season, and I know just follow me for a second before everyone jumps on me because I know I'm going to get the Raptors hater talk. But I just see them in the bottom half of the playoff race. Like I see them in the
5-6,
like 6-7, somewhere in that range. And the reason is it's
Tell
not
them how you
because-
really feel, Hov.
No, but here's the thing, right? I feel like they're going to have a lot of games like this where it's going to come down to it's a close game. They're right there in it. But what do you do at the very end? Who are you turning to? And right now, I need to see it first that Fred's going to be healthy for the whole season to be the dog for the Raps. Kyle's going to be healthy for the whole season to kind of back up and help Fred. And Siakam, hey, that's a big boy night. But you got that max money. If you're the all-star that we're getting, I need to see you do that every night. I just need to see it first. And that's not a knock. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying I need to see it first.
More repetition.
If you're going 8 deep with that team, knowing that Gasol's old and he's going to need
And
nights
Lowry's
off,
going to need some
Lowry's
nights off
gonna
too.
need nights off. You can't go 8 deep.
Yep.
So
I gotta believe that Stanley and Rondé are not going to sit at the end of the bench all. Like I'm not
what are you even getting from them?
but I'm not. Yeah, so I'm not saying they're going to come in and steal the show, but I gotta believe that somebody had in one of those guys has to have enough balls to insert themselves, to force their way into the lineup, and try to contribute.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if it's just on the defensive end, which is what they were brought in for,
Yeah.
right?
Minimum. A
Right?
minimum.
So
at least
yeah, so I think yeah, with 8-man rotation, health is going to be a big thing, Raptors.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Why I say top 4 is I just don't see
The rest of the East.
the rest of the East.
That's
I don't.
it. I
like,
agree
one of those
too. I don't
teams-
see the rest
One
of
of
the
those teams
East.
is going to have to surprise. Orlando's going to have to surprise.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Pacers are going to have to surprise again.
Pacers,
Like,
right?
Well, my thing has been don't sleep on the Heat. I know we were just talking about Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
but I think with the infrastructure that the Miami Heat
yeah, they're not playing.
organization provides, add in Jimmy to that, the Heat to me could be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, and I don't want to play that team in the playoffs. Just saying that from now. Jimmy Butler is a dog
need a
that they
piece.
haven't had for a long time. And
But
that
they need
boy,
another
Tyler
piece.
Hero is gonna cook. Like
But is
not saying
Tyler
he's-
Hero? He's
he's
cooking,
not-
but
he's
he
not
has to
ready.
cook. He has to. Yeah, exactly.
he's
He has
not
to
ready
cook to be an
right now.
all-star.
Yeah, he needs to simmer. He needs a year or two to simmer.
Simmer.
Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
but he's
I was
nice.
think- I was
He's not
thinking
that-
more-
Tyler is nice.
I was thinking more Indiana with Oladipo back,
Yeah, that's true.
TJ Warren in there. That's a team that, because with Oladipo, they were gunning for a top 4.
Yeah,
right.
they
The
were.
last couple of years. So now with him back, if healthy and still have his abilities,
Yeah.
that's a team.
But that's
I
what I'm
think will be
talking
able
about. We're
to-
talking about Miami and Indiana. Like I'm not. See,
Yeah,
you
you're
see
not
what I'm
shook
saying?
of those
Yeah, I'm
We're
not shook.
right?
You're not shook, but
You're not
like I
shook.
said,
Nobody's shook of those
like I
teams.
said,
Like those are like I feel like that's a 6-7 gamer in
Yeah.
a playoff.
yeah,
Yeah, nobody.
It's a pick'em game.
Nobody shook of those teams for sure. Nobody is. Let's get to some comments here though. Shouts to Jeff Berg, who was one of the mainstays last year throughout the playoffs.
Okay,
rocking
shout
with
out
the
Jeff.
podcast all year. Jeff says the only reason for the 8-man rotation tonight was ring night. We'll be playing 11 regularly.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if it was because it was ring night and that was the reason, but I do think eventually Nurse wants to play 11
Of
guys
course.
a night. And I just think that he's making the point of, you guys got to earn the minutes. I'm not just going to give you the minutes. Like, we
Yeah.
can just go forward with 8, but
But you guys got
you
to
guys
you got to earn
the
it.
minutes. We're not just going to hand out minutes to you just because you're here, running up and down. Alex says, Nurse saying that was great. Champions have championship level standards.
Yep.
The culture is set.
exactly.
It's so true. Ask Boogie
Okay, Boogie, I see you.
jumps in and says Al Horford won't be an impact. I mean, I don't know if Al Horford to me is kind of like our Marc Gasol in terms of
Yeah.
not everything he does is going to be on the score sheet.
Exactly.
You kind of got to watch him night in, night out. And mind you, there were games. I think they brought it up. Gasol had over 17 points in 3 of the 6 games in the NBA Finals. So, he's there.
Well, Big Al in the East. He still can be effective.
solid.
He's still solid. He's still
solid.
solid.
Let's see what else is going on. More comments here. Austin says he could be a contender if they traded for Lowry or CP3. Oof, we can't get into Lowry trade time. It's too early for that.
Too early, no.
It's too early for that. That's what we're gonna talk about.
We got to go on
Too
that
early
one.
for the Lowry.
Dude,
talk.
Lowry is finishing the season.
He's
in
on our team.
Toronto.
Hey, too soon for the Lowry trade talk. It's game one. Let's
Yeah,
just enjoy.
right?
Let the man enjoy his ring. Let the man enjoy his view of the banner being hung. Right? Let the man chill for a minute. We don't got to get to that.
He'll
talk.
finish the season.
For right now, we'll enjoy the fact that Toronto Raptors are winners on opening night to open up the NBA season 130 to 122. Your Toronto Raptors are now 1-0 to start their title defense. Pascal Siakam leading the way with 34 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. Fred VanVleet also at 34 points, 5 of 7 from 3, 12 of 18 shooting overall. Solid night from those dudes. Lowry backing them up with a solid 22 points for your Toronto Raptors. On the flip side, Brandon Ingram, 22 points for the New Orleans Pelicans, who are without Zion. Sorry, I said we were going to talk about Zion before we left. And I just want to say, from my angle, it sucks, man, because you don't know how this is going to turn out. We've seen this before where it could either go the Greg Oden route. We've seen this before with Blake Griffin, who took a full year off. But the injuries right away to highly anticipated rookies and number 1 overall picks, that's tough. And I hope that he comes back just because it's a better story for the NBA, right? Like, who doesn't want to be flicking around to one of those Pelicans games night in, night out, watching Zion dunk up the place?
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
But, this is one of my things I said. Like, it's...
You did say this. I will give you
I
credit.
did. I did say
credit.
this,
You
right?
did say this. I will say this.
And then I seen somewhere where Zion Williamson at 6'6" is the 3rd heaviest player in the NBA right now. And the only 2 people ahead of him are 7'5" Boban and 7'6" Taco Fall. Right?
Yeah, he got to slim down.
Right, and he's at 6'6".
Slim down.
And he's at 6'6".
Well,
and I'm just saying, like,
we thought that
we've seen skinny dudes with explosive hops like his, Derrick Rose, etc.
Yep.
Whose knees couldn't handle that. Now
Yeah.
imagine Derrick Rose if he was 280.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
it's funny you bring up his weight because David Griffin today made a point and it's rare that the VP of a team does a press conference, but he was at shoot around this morning and he tried to dispel the notion and he was emphatic in saying that, he hears people talking about Zion's weight being an issue and he was like, no, this kid is he's in the best shape of anyone I've ever seen. And in terms of all the testing, I'm just telling you what he's saying. You're shaking your head. I'm not saying
you were LeBron. You were LeBron's GM. Like he's in the best shape you've ever seen.
Listen, I heard we heard guys say that. What was Katie's injury from earlier on in the playoff? They said it was a lower leg injury, and we all knew it was an Achilles. So come on, man, miss us with this. The kid needs to slim down. Straight. That's what it is.
Even when he got hurt, it was nothing serious. And then 2 weeks, a couple of days later, it was 6 to 8 weeks. Like
right? Come on.
He said that they were being very secretive about it on purpose, though, because they wanted to make sure. He had a full good press conference to try to explain a lot of what happened with Zion in terms of why the information was so weird, why they said he's going to miss the start of the season, why he's going to have surgery. He said they were trying to make sure that they had everything correct before wrong information got let out. But he was saying that in terms of the testers, I forget what it's called, but there's a proper name for the NBA people that test you and
of course
do the treadmill work and all that. And he was saying those people were saying they've never seen someone of Zion's athleticism. He said he has that just comes from God. You got to just
For
watch
sure.
the clip because the way that he was saying it.
And that's understandable.
But we've already established that he's a freak of
Thank
nature.
you.
Someone his size shouldn't be able to do and jump the way he does.
So what's the answer?
But your body doesn't. Your body
So then what's the answer? You think he should just lose weight?
Yes.
How though? He should eat Zion is not fat.
No, he's not fat, but
And they're
but
saying
slim
the way
down.
that he works out, he just gains muscle an insane, at an insane rate.
And again, he's a freak of nature. So it might be that that's his size that he
So
can't.
he should go vegan or something.
I don't know what the answer is.
David Griffin didn't know the answer either. He was saying
I don't know what the answer is.
This is a learning process.
I'm just saying that
Fair enough.
to jump and be explosive the way he is, and have 280 pounds coming down on your knees is not healthy.
Fair.
right? For anybody,
Yeah.
right?
And that was part of his point. He was saying like we've never seen anything like this before. So there's no like right answer.
There's no
or
blueprint.
easy-
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But
We've
you
never
know,
seen
but
anyone
he's
with this body type, with
but
this
he's not-
athleticism.
Blake Griffin's a big guy, and Blake Griffin has
Blake
always
Griffin's not that,
been
man.
injured.
Zion's a different beast than Blake, man. And Blake was a beast. Don't get me wrong.
But I'm saying
but Zion,
Blake jumps like Zion, and he might not be as
But he doesn't
big
have the
as,
size. But that's
He-
just the
right,
size.
he wasn't as deep as Zion.
Blake is not a small. You got like Blake's a small
Blake
guy.
Griffin was not as
But what,
deep as
but
Zion.
what
What
I'm
do you
saying,
do
but
with
what
the
I'm,
si-
but what,
what do you do with the what do you do
but
with
what I'm
his
saying to you
size?
is-
Man's
right?
shoe exploded, man.
But what I'm saying to you is, and Blake can't stay healthy, right?
True.
So now you're adding another 40 pounds on top of that.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just not.
It's true. Bottom line, though, I
Your
hope
knees
that
aren't
Zion,
made for that.
Bottom
Obviously,
line, though,
I
hope
don't wish
Zion-
bad.
I know.
He's a good kid.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem with Zion.
We all hope he comes back.
We all hope he comes
I hope
back,
he
but how
does.
do you
But I just-
how do
I
you
just-
rectify it? Right? Does he just? It's tough. It is really tough.
Yeah, it's really tough, and hopefully Zion does get back soon and healthy, and hopefully you guys decide to come back and join me here on this Wrap It Up podcast. This was night one. Feels good to be back. The Raps are NBA champs. Luckily, they won, even though the game went to overtime. But hey, a win
Is a win.
They all count the same. And Foots, where can the people find you on socials if they want to hit you up?
You can find
Give
me
you a shout.
at DDS Caps on IG, or you can find me or at Eastside on IG as well.
Cute.
Yeah, we're always at DDS Caps, at DDS Caps on all social media. Personally, it's simply _ Q. Holler at us, man. We're back. Another season. Let's do this.
Another season, we're here. And of course, my name is Sheldon Alexander. Thank you for joining us right here. This is the Wrap It Up podcast, which you can find live on Twitter at Shell Alexander after each and every Toronto Raptors game. That has the main feed where you can see all the other people that are on the panel. And the Instagram feed, which is at Sheldon Alexander, that's just to take comments and questions. I say what up to the people there as well. But they only get to look at my ugly mug, so we want to push people to the main feed on Twitter.
Come to the main
Hey, there's
feed.
Q. Hey, what up?
What's going on, people? You know what? I'm glad. I'm glad.
Gang.
You know, to who's that? Glow Girl Smile and I am Y Dubs Cry. I'm glad y'all are back. I'm
Yes.
glad y'all are back for season 2
Back
to hear
right.
hear us talk and chime in, and we appreciate you guys so much. So thank you.
We do. We really, really do. Because people always wonder why I say this at the end of each podcast, because it's just real talk. Some people say shit to gas. I always keep it funky, keep it 100% real, because I really did used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this.
Yes, sir.
This is the Wrap It Up podcast. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Peace out, people.
Peace out.
On blast.